messy room here is where we are cutting the R1000. This is the lathe. I am currently ready to start groove number 525. Excuse me, 526. I just finished 525. Over here is the cutter head. Helium's going. Console is suspended from the ceiling basically. Pitch computer's up top. I'm not using pitch computer except for the actual lock groove system. Cutting amplifiers, limiters, delay line, which is basically out. Other equipment that's not in use. The main thing is that we are running from the computer here. On the computer I have 525 up. That's 525. It's just running into a loop at exactly 1.8 seconds. Okay, then I just adjust the levels. Just the limiters down to right where they should be, a little bit less there. Some drops 2 dB on that side, 1 dB on this. 1 more dB down. Okay, looks like we got that right. Okay, next comes the next joy, and that is actually cutting the groove. Okay, everything is running. Feedback is now being monitored. Checking to see that there are no out of range items there. Okay, what I do at this point is I engage the feed screw for one turn, set for 154 lines per inch, and so it should just be ready to go at this point. Okay, get it down in position. Okay. Okay, now I test it. Sounds pretty good. Okay, now what's going on here is that this button here, what it does is it increases the depth in the cutter head by 2.5 mils. So what's happening is that the needle's scraping the surface, and I push the button, it dives it deep, cuts the groove, and then one turn later lifts. So you get a slight groove, and then a deep groove, and then a back up. But of course it's stuck in one place, so it just drops down. There we go. See the various grooves. You can see them kind of pulsing. The reason they're pulsing is because that's where things go deep and then shallow. But you notice none of the grooves are moving. They're just staying stationary as compared to a regular record. I'm going to stop the turntable for a second. Okay. So that's how the grooves look, of course, when they're all slowed down, each one being an individual program. Okay, groove 525 is still running. So we can monitor it. Okay, so now I look carefully to see to it that I see 525 and open the waveform. And make sure that I have 525 and 526 so I don't miss one. Now I'm ready for the next groove. Okay. Okay, the levels are adjusted and we're ready to go. Okay, one of the biggest tricks of this thing is to find us a good spot to do the lock. Just a little bit more. Nothing's out of line there. I kind of hear a lot of high end, and then when I hear the low end, that's when I want to do the lock. Either silence or low end, or sometimes you don't have much of a choice. So the turntable is started. All right. just going to have to go with any old position. 0, 1. We've moved the head over by 1 turn. We're ready to go. Let's hear how this one sounds. Sounds pretty good, relatively speaking. It's going to blast through for a little while. side. So, I now make note. So that was groove number 550. The feed screw has a mark on it. It's currently at the 1030 position. Okay. The scale here shows it on about the 10 3/4 inch diameter. And I go one step further. That's with calipers. Okay, now with my calipers, I'm measuring from my marker to the edge of the blade, to the edge of the sled, as they call it. Okay, now the thing is that each turn on the feed screw is 1/20th of an inch. So if I'm off, I'll be, this will, if I'm off by one full notch on the feed screw, this is going to be off by about half the dial on the dial gauge. Anyway, this amazingly worked out to exactly 4 inches. So I'm going to leave the calipers locked. Okay, now that I know the position of everything, I have the calipers measured, I have my notes taken on the notepad as far as where it's all going to be, I can now take off the lacquer. This is now able to be released. Okay. Now, there's a mark on the turntable, which is what I used for counting exactly the one turn between grooves. Let me move my wiring here. This is a mark that is used to mark exactly where it is. I have scribed the edge of the lacquer with those hash marks to know exactly where that's supposed to line up. And so that way, when I put the lacquer back on, there's little chance of it being off-center. Because if it's off-center, then you have the possibility of grooves running into each other. So now I'm going to take the lacquer off. I'll put it back on in a moment. Okay, the A side is already in the box. It's already packaged. The grooves are aiming face down. There's a spacer and another lacquer at that point. Okay, so now I'm going to put the band on here. Put a guard band on just to kind of protect it. You notice I'm putting it on opposite of where where my hash marks are. Okay, gonna have to put the camera down because I can get it. Alrighty, I'm gonna need 2 hands. Okay, it's in the box. Gonna put the bolt on it just to make sure nothing at all happens with that. Okay, so between my notes and everything, I know where I left off. And I have that up high so the cats won't get to it. And with all my other weird stuff around in this room. And now I can shut down the lathe for a while. Turn off the helium. Disconnect the cutter head. Everything else is off. Power off the main switch. Okay, that's it for 550. I can shut all that down. Shut down the lathe. And I'll be back in a few hours. Sure sounds the same. Oh well.
It does, but it's not.
That's slightly different.
Yeah.
They sound a hell of a lot alike.